In this video, you're going to learn about a new feature in FlowWright 9.12. It's called form variables. Just like you defined variables before, we're going to use form variables in this example to demonstrate how to access data from forms directly in the workflow process. So let's go ahead and build a simple form here. So I'm going to go to form definitions and let's call it you know, uh, form def. And in this, let's put a little grid here and a couple of controls here. And let's put a text box also. And let's duplicate this row. So let's call this label enter product name. Let's call this field txt product as required. And this one will be enter price. And let's call this txt price. And we'll say required number and save that. And let's just add another row and we'll put a submit button. All right, so we have a form now. And let's save this form and let's go build the process now. So we're going to go to process definitions and we're going to create a definition called test form was. And in this example, you can see in the menu now, you have a new option called manage form variables. So we're going to just create a new form variable. Let's call it test form is the name of my variable. Or let's call it product form. And here I'm going to select the form. So in this case, let me just look at the name that I gave. So I call this form var def. So I'm going to use form var def and I'm going to add that. So now we've defined a variable called product form, a form variable, and it's the type, or it uses this particular form. And also I'm going to grab a couple of define other variables. So let's call it txt, or let's say product name, and we'll also put product price, and we'll make it a numeric. So the way our forms work in this case, we are going to use the form, enter some data, and then the process will automatically start, and we want the process to get some of the values from the form. So in the old days, or older versions of FlowWright before 9.12, what you would do is you would use this step called get form field values. So if you go under forms, and you will see a step here called get form field values. Okay. And what this step will do is once you configure it, you tell which form to get the values from. It will get those values and store it in variables for you, and then you'll be able to use those in other places within FlowWright, within other steps within the process. So you no longer have to do this. What you can do is you can directly now use the form's values, field values, directly in other steps. So, for example, let's say we want to take the value of product price and add another $100 to it and store it in a variable. So we are going to use that in an expression step. So if I search the expression step, um, I'm going to say go ahead and connect, and here I'm going to give an expression, and my expression is going to be the price field on the form plus $100. So in order to reference a form variable, what you would do is you would do cdef form. As soon as you type dot, it will show you the form variables that are defined and available. So you can see you got product form, and now if I click dot, you will see all the different fields that are available. So in this case, we're going to use txt price, and in this expression, we're going to give plus $100. And we want to store that in a variable called, let's say, variable dot result. We're going to save that, and let me save the workflow, and it's going to of course ask me to define what result is. So I'm going to say it's a number, and I'm going to say add, and let's go ahead and say save. So as you can see in this workflow now, in this particular step, we are referencing the value of that product form, the txt price field, directly without getting the value first using this previous step. This step is still available if you want to use it for backwards compatibility and all that. We still kept it in the product, but now we have a newer way of accessing form field values, and you can easily do that by referencing directly the form variable dot the name of the or the ID of the field that's on the form. So let's go ahead and save that. Let's save our definition, and let's go and execute and see what happens. So let me close this workflow designer, and we're going to go to our form definitions, and let's execute this particular form. And I'm going to say execute, and we want to use test form was, and you can see now we have three options here. We can still pass it to variables, globals, or we can also pass the reference to form variables. So in this case, I'm going to say product form. I select language as English, and I'm going to say execute. So here I need to give a product name. Let's say the product name is Signal. And the price is, let's say, $5. We're going to go ahead and submit that. So at this point, we should see a process instance that got created. So if I go to process instances, you can see we have a new process instance. And if I look at the process instance, you can see my expression step. And let's go ahead and look at the variables. So if I go to variables, and if I look at the result, I have 105. And if I also go into properties of this step, you can see the expression that was calculated. cdef form product form.txt price has a value of 5, and it added $100 on top of it, so it became 105. So you can see how easily you can access form field values directly now in 9.12. We have made it much more easy for you to do this, so I hope this helps you in designing new processes using form variables. Thank you for watching.